Hello. I spent way too much money on Blu-rays this month. Excuse me one moment. What's up everyone, Reddit Reviews here with another episode of Physical Therapy for you, this time for the month of August 2024. If you're unfamiliar with the channel or the series, Physical Therapy is a monthly series in which I go over all of the Blu-rays, 4Ks, and even DVDs that I might buy in a given month, and I talk about them. I talk about the movies themselves, I'll talk about is the Blu-ray a good upgrade from the DVD, or the 4K a good upgrade from the Blu-ray, etc., etc. So join me on this crazy wild adventure. Let's just jump right in, shall we?
Okay, all right.
So you are definitely going to want to stick around to the end of the video because I ended up getting a couple of out-of-print titles, one on Blu-ray, one on DVD. The one on DVD is very controversial, so to say. It's an 80s comedy, and let's just say you're not going to find this movie on any streaming platforms anytime soon. So yeah, let's just jump right in, shall we? First off, I have a film from Rian Johnson.
No, wait.
No, really, wait, hold on. It's Looper on 4K. So this is a Blu-ray upgrade for me. I was surprised this actually had Dolby Vision on it. Sony usually likes to put HDR10 on their releases initially, and then later on release a steelbook with Dolby Vision and HDR10 together, so that way you have to, buy it twice. The movie itself is pretty good. I really like Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis's performance in this. In terms of the 4K, I haven't really checked this out yet, but I'm told it's a good upgrade.
Is that right?
I actually really like this film. I like the world that it's set in. I like the technology. I like the futuristic setup. I mean, I'm a sucker for sci-fi, gritty sci-fi. And so basically the plot of this one is in the future. Time travel's illegal, so there's a black market for it, and then when the mob wants to get rid of somebody, they send them back in time, and then there's a looper who is waiting on the other end of that time portal in the past, and he blows them away and takes some money and, criminal erased. So one day, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is waiting for his next guy to appear in the middle of a field so he can blow him away, and it's himself, aged up 30 or 40 years. And I won't say any more from there, but there's a plot element to it. It's actually pretty good. So, I mean, I know it's Rian Johnson, but if you haven't seen this one, if you like sci-fi, I recommend checking it out. Just, try and put your feelings of The Last Jedi elsewhere for two hours. Next up, I have an 80s classic on 4K, and I'm glad to have finally picked this up because I never did on 4K, even though it's been released a few times already. Karate Kid.
That bike! I hate this bike! I hate this friggin' bike! This stupid bike!
Originally, this came out with only HDR10. Then they came out with, I think it was a Sony box set that had this in it, and that had the Dolby Vision. So if you bought that big monstrosity of a box, you got the Dolby Vision. They finally released this with the VHS retro art. I actually really like the art. It's pretty cool. It really reminds me of the old VHS for this. And I mean, honestly, I really love the Karate Kid film. I know there's a collection that I could have bought that has this with Dolby Vision in it. I'm really not a huge fan of the sequels, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, I like Cobra Kai. Yeah. But as far as the Karate Kid, I think it works perfectly great as a self-contained story. And I mean, growing up, I was never really into the sequels. Maybe one day I'll try and get into them, but for now, this is all I really need. This was a huge upgrade over the Blu-ray, and that's where I was coming from. So it was a no-brainer for me. It was under 20 bucks, just under 20 bucks. So money well spent. If you don't know the story of the Karate Kid, look it up. In fact, just forget that. Just watch this movie if you've never seen it. Just watch this. I guess I can recommend the sequels 2 and 3, and then watch Cobra Kai. I'm not really the guy to ask. I'm not the best on Karate Kid lore, but for my dollar, the Karate Kid on 4K is worth every penny. Next up, we have a film that I kind of slept on, and yeah, it's a drama film, kind of a thriller, and that's Argo on 4K, directed by Ben Affleck. Now, I don't know about you, but I kind of like Ben Affleck as a director. I think he's fine. He makes some very tight, compelling movies, and they do well. This one, I slept on it. I never got around to seeing it. It didn't look interesting to me, and then maybe because I really didn't know what it was about.
I need you to help me make a fake movie.
Came to the right place.
I want to set up a production company and build a cover around making a movie.
That we're not going to make.
No.
So you want to come to Hollywood and act like a big shot?
Yeah.
Without actually doing anything?
No.
You'll fit right in.
So the basic plot of this is that there are people stranded in Iran behind enemy lines, and they are not allowed to leave. If they're caught, they'll be killed. So basically, Ben Affleck is tasked with getting them out. And this is based on a true story, obviously, but basically he was tasked on getting them out, and they make a whole fake movie as a cover to get these people out of Iran. Very compelling stuff. I mean, I know this is a drama. It's not something, genre fans are going to really want to watch, but what got me to watch this after all these years was the fact that it was about a fake movie. So, I mean, gosh, how could you not watch a movie about making a movie, especially if it's a fake movie?
The title refers to? It's the Argo, it's the thing.
Like Jason and the Golden Fleece, or what?
No, it's the ship. It's the spaceship. It goes everywhere. It goes all throughout space.
So it's the Argonaut.
No,
What does Argo mean?
I don't know.
You don't know?
It means Argo, fuck yourself.
If you're into dramas, if you're into thrillers, if you're into period pieces, things that take place in the 70s or the 80s, this is definitely up your alley. If you're into film as a subject, I mean, honestly, Ben Affleck's a pretty damn good director, so I just would say just check this one out. I haven't been able to check out this 4K, so I can't really tell you if it's an upgrade over Blu-ray or not. I really don't know, but I got this really cheap. I think it might be going out of print or is kind of starting to get harder to find, so if you have any interest in this, I recommend looking into it now, but I highly recommend Argo. Next up, we have another one of Alexander Payne's films that I've been trying to collect because I've been into his whole filmography lately, and that is About Schmidt on Blu-ray. So About Schmidt is about William Schmidt, who is newly retired, played by Jack Nicholson here, and he basically needs to get to his daughter's wedding in order to stop her from marrying this guy who's an absolute mistake. And things happen. Life happens along the way. I won't get into it again, but it's another drama from Alexander Payne. It's very well written. It's tightly filmed. It's funny. It's got some irreverence in it. It's got some great performances in it, so it's got some heart.
I know what I want, and I know what I've got to do.
What's up?
You're making a big mistake. I mean, look at these people.
All of a sudden, you're taking an interest in what I do?
If you're looking for something kind of funny but kind of emotional, I recommend basically anything by Alexander Payne. But I had to pick this one up as it's one of the last few I need to get. It's one that I really, really liked. And it's also getting a little bit hard to find. I won't say out of print, but it's not really as easy to find as I remember it being on Blu-ray, at least. So, it's also a Warner. So, Warner has been kind of hit or miss with things staying in and out of print. It's mostly 80s and 90s action movies from Warner that you really need to worry about, in my opinion. But things like this, I mean, this is something I couldn't find on streaming, so I ended up finding it another way, enjoyed it, and then I went and bought the Blu-ray. So if you like Alexander Payne in this kind of movie, I say definitely check it out.
I know we're all pretty small in the big scheme of things, and I suppose the most you can hope for is to make some kind of difference. But what kind of difference have I made?
Mr. Schmidt will have a seat right there. All right? Mr. Schmidt? Mr. Schmidt?
Now for this next one, I'm not going to play what everybody plays when they talk about this movie. And they play that one clip.
Warriors, come out to play. Warriors, come out to play.
I had to do it. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry I had to do it. But if you couldn't tell by now, we're talking about The Warriors on 4K. So the story of The Warriors is very simple. There's a big meeting of all the gangs, the different gangs in town, and at that meeting, the speaker is shot. Someone blames it on this group, the Warriors, and so for the rest of the film, the Warriors, this group of guys, they're all trying to get home to Coney Island, and they run into, of course, you know, the world's most nefarious characters, because, you know, cops are after them, other gangs are after them. Basically, it's a story about these guys getting home. What do I need to say other than that? You really should just see this if you haven't already.
There he is! That's him! That's the warrior! He shot Cyrus!
Man, you're crazy. I didn't do nothing.
We saw him!
Yeah, that's him.
He's the one! He's the one! The Warriors did it! The Warriors did it! The Warriors did it! The Warriors did it!
I got the Arrow 4K here. I haven't flipped the art around, you know I will. But I got the Arrow 4K and I got the standard edition because honestly, I don't really need a lot of the frills. I don't like the big packaging that Arrow does for their limited editions.
What? What the f?
I like this thin, you know, regular standard casing here. I waited a little while to get this and I'm glad I did. I was able to check this transfer out. It's beautiful. It's amazing. If you're a fan of this film, definitely seek out Arrow's copy. Wow, like just thinking about it, you really need to check this out. This standard edition also only has the theatrical edition of the film. The limited edition did come with the director's cut that had all of that comic book stuff that not a lot of people like. So I'm fine with just having the theatrical edition in 4K. Hey, that's all I need, man. Those arrows smell so good. Next up we have Gattaca on 4K. So Gattaca is interesting to me because it's something I didn't see till later in life, and I didn't know much about it growing up. Once I finally saw it, I was kind of taken back by what it was because I didn't think it was a drama. I didn't think it was a thriller. It's a sci-fi film. You know, what do you think of sci-fi? You think of spaceships and, you know, genetics and clones and things like that? No. So this is just a drama set in the future, but the story itself is pretty dang interesting. So let me tell you. So Vincent Freeman, played by Ethan Hawke, is a guy who's just kind of your average guy, but in the future, people's futures and their career paths and things are determined by their genetics, and basically Ethan Hawke doesn't have the genetics to get into Gattaca space station where he wants to become an astronaut and explore the world, make a difference. You know, he's really got the heart of gold, but he just doesn't have the genetics. So he ends up meeting Jude Law, who is a paralyzed former athlete, and he basically assumes his identity through all these various ways just so he can get into Gattaca and work there and, you know, live his dream. Uma Thurman comes into the plot later on as a kind of love interest. There's also a little bit of a thriller plot storyline that comes in. So basically it's a drama thriller about him fooling the system and trying to get into Gattaca. It is very interesting. It's got a really great score by Michael Nyman. I really like Michael Nyman. He's I don't know, Michael Nyman's got great shit.
In a society where success is determined by science, divided by the standards of perfection, one man's only chance...
How do you expect to pull this off? I don't know exactly.
...is to hide his own identity.
This is the last day that you're gonna be you and I'm gonna be me.
By borrowing someone else's.
Congratulations.
Do you think you'd be doing what you're doing if it wasn't for who you are, what you are?
I have a feeling he might be there under false pretenses, playing somebody else's hand. They've got my picture plastered up all over the place. They'll recognize me. They won't recognize me. They'll recognize me!
So Gattaca, yeah, it's pretty interesting. I haven't been able to check it out on 4K. I do know this is the HDR10 version because, of course, there's a Sony Steelbook out there with a Dolby Vision disc in it that I really, you know, I don't know if I need it. I'm coming from the Blu-ray, and the Blu-ray wasn't the best to look at, if I recall, so even if this is HDR10 and it's a little bit of an upgrade, that's fine by me. I didn't pay a whole lot for this. I found it used. But I can definitely recommend the movie, Gattaca. Worth checking out. One day I'm roaming the aisles at Rasputin Music and DVDs, and I just came across this film and I went, whoa, oh my God, it's out of print. I need to get that. It's only $5.95, and that is Bachelor Party, starring Tom Hanks. Man, I did not expect to see this out the corner of my eye one day. Yeah, it was $5.95, so I had to pick it up. I saw this as a kid in the 80s, don't remember a whole lot of it. I think I saw it again in my 20s sometime, don't remember a whole lot of it then. I do know there's just some debauchery and craziness that goes on in this movie. It's basically, you know, guys get married, and it's The Hangover, but before The Hangover. But Tom Hanks is so damn likable in this movie, and I really like his earlier stuff, his comedic stuff. So I definitely recommend Bachelor Party if you can find it. I believe it might be streaming somewhere, but ask for on disc. It's kind of hard to find, but man, I don't know. I'm really happy to have this. Kind of can't wait to watch it, but I will throw in a clip right now of a donkey, just because.
Stand back! I'm a doctor! I'm a doctor. Back!
So next up, I'm going to do these kind of quick. There's 3 in a row here that I'm going to do, and that's because I got them all from the same seller on eBay. This person sells Sony titles on 4K and Blu-ray at discount prices. So I'm just going to go through these really quick. So first up, we got Boyz N The Hood on 4K. This was a upgrade from Blu-ray for me, and I remember the Blu-ray just being okay. I'm sure this is probably only HDR10, and I'm okay with that. I don't know if there's a Sony Steelbook with Dolby Vision. There might be, knowing them, but I'm okay with this in HDR10, just like I was for Gattaca. I got this for just about $8 after discount, so worthy upgrade for me. The film itself, a monument of indie cinema, a monument of 90s cinema. If you're studying film in any capacity, you need to see this film. If you just love movies, you need to see this.
Started thinking, man. Either they don't know, don't show, or don't care about what's going on in the hood.
Everyone is great in this acting wise. Cuba Gooding Jr. is great, Ice Cube's great, Lawrence Fishburne is amazing in this movie, and very important film, very just, man, knockout 90s film, must see, and yeah, Boyz N The Hood. And yes, the second one in this lot is Ghostbusters 2 on 4K. Yeah, I never had this on 4K. I got that last Blu-ray that was from a 4K master, and then they came out with that other one that was, I don't know. I lose track of the Ghostbusters films at this point, but this is the only 4K for part 2 that I know of. It's a sequel to part 1, so if you like part 1, you'll probably like part 2, even though a lot of people don't. I actually really like Ghostbusters 2, so I'm happy to have it in my collection.
Oh, baby.
And lastly, we have Dracula on 4K from Sony. So this one does have a 4K steelbook with Dolby Vision. This is an upgrade for me. I came from an old Blu-ray, so just to have this one in HDR10, again, I'm happy to have it. I paid $8 about for each one of these 3 movies, so, you know, about $25, $26 for 3. You can't beat it. You know, this movie gets a lot of crap. But honestly, I enjoyed this movie. It's one of those that, you know, it really kind of sucks you in with the plot, and it's a basic plot, but for some reason you just keep watching and watching. Gary Oldman is spectacular in this. He nails it in this movie. The other thing, though, is that Keanu Reeves, who I love, and Winona Ryder, who I also love, they don't really, something's not quite meshing well with their performances.
I've seen many strange things already. Bloody wolves chasing me through some blue inferno.
Yeah, so as much as I love them, you know, they kind of bring the movie down in that regard. Again, is that directing? Is that the script? Is that their acting? Who knows? Maybe all of the above. But honestly, Dracula is a interesting little piece of 90s horror. Francis Ford Coppola, man, he uses every trick in the book for this. There's lots of you know, filmmaking techniques that you can learn from this. Red Letter Media went really in depth on the special effects and some of the making of some of the scenes of this film, especially one with a train that's really pretty interesting if you don't know about it. So check out their video on that.
I love the shot when Jonathan Harker's going to Dracula's castle, and you see his diary in the foreground and the train going by in the background, and it's clearly a miniature, but the fact that the train casts a shadow across the diary, which doesn't make any sense realistically, but that whole shot looks great.
To be able to get the shadow onto a little book like this wasn't gonna work. So Gene, my father, decided, well, what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to recreate the book 20 feet away. And then use the same train, put one light up, make a shadow of the smoke, and make it go across the book.
But if you haven't seen Bram Stoker's Dracula, it's definitely worth a watch if you're into horror. Again, if anything but for the filmmaking techniques, the directing, and Gary Oldman. There's all there, you know, and it's an interesting take on the Dracula lore if you're into Dracula, but highly recommended. We are in the home stretch, guys, so we only have a few more left. Don't forget there are a couple out of print titles at the very end of this video. The one on Blu-ray and the one on DVD that I still don't know how I'm going to even talk to you about this movie. So don't forget, please, if you're enjoying this video, if you enjoy the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment below, hit the bell, all that stuff. Show your support. We're almost at 100 subscribers. I don't like to talk about subscribers on this channel, but in this case, I think, you know, we're so close to 100, I think it's worth it. But again, please like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video, if you're enjoying the channel, and let's get on with the show, shall we? So this isn't the big controversial pick I have, but this is one that might get some crap from some of you, and that's Blade Runner 2049 on 4K. So I won't go into the plot. I won't get into Blade Runner. There's too much to unpack there. I'm sorry, I just can't. This was a 4K upgrade for me. I got the Blu-ray really cheap. I got the 4K really cheap. Well worth it in my opinion, because now I have both. The movie itself, I like it. It doesn't hold a candle to Blade Runner, but to me, it's kind of a nice little playthrough in that sandbox, in that world. There are some concepts in here that I'm not really a fan of. There are some things that can be contradictory. I mean, there's a whole bunch of, you know, discourse over this film online. If you want to jump into all that, go for it. For this one, I will just say proceed at your own risk if you're a big fan of Blade Runner and haven't seen this one yet, because you might be pissed off about it. As far as the 4K upgrade, I have not been able to check it out yet. I just got it not too long ago, so I don't have an opinion for you, but I mean, I got it cheap.
What a day, You look lonely. I can fix that.
And next I have a film that I'm a little bit more happier to talk about and show off to you, and that is Virtuosity. Virtuosity, boy, this one's just fun. Virtuosity is basically disgraced cop played by Denzel Washington, who is amazing in everything he does, is kind of forced out of retirement if I recall, but he's basically brought on to stop this virtual madman, virtual serial killer, if you will. So basically, Russell Crowe plays kind of a of serial killers and evil people in history. They've all put their DNA into this virtual character, and somehow the virtual character comes out of the virtual world into the real world and starts causing havoc. This is a great little piece of mid-90s sci-fi that's just, again, don't take it seriously. It's cheesy. There's some pretty bad CGI in here. There's some pretty good moments. I mean, again, it's nothing to really write home about. It's just a hell of a fun time. I really needed to get this on Blu-ray because just, you know, I love Denzel Washington. I like Russell Crowe. The 90s, sci-fi, they're all my jam. So I had to get this. Unfortunately, though, this is now out of print and a little bit hard to find. You might be able to find it at things like garage sales, flea markets, things like that. But as for buying it online, you're going to be paying upwards of about 20, 25 bucks maybe. I think it's worth it, in my opinion. It's definitely worth 20 bucks. 90s sci-fi action, just, it hits all the right spots if that's your jam, and Virtuosity is my jam. Next up, we have an Arrow 4K that I finally got my hands on at the Barnes & Noble Arrow sale, and that is Wild Things on 4K. So this is another Arrow that I had to get on standard edition just because I didn't want a huge box. I like Wild Things. Wild Things is a great little piece of 90s neo-noir. Lots of twists and turns in this film. There's also a couple things that made it really, really famous. I just can't remember. Oh well. Anyway, Wild Things is full of fun, twists, turns. Bill Murray pops up in a small role, which I find hilarious, even though it's not a comedic role. Everyone is great in this. Everyone plays their part well. This movie will have you guessing and flipping and flopping and on the edge of your seat pretty much till the end. In fact, even after the end credits are still rolling. Yeah, there's some nudity in this movie from lots of people. Denise Richards takes it off, and Kevin Bacon takes it off. So if you're into that, yeah. Wild Things, though. I mean, honestly, it's to me, it's a vital piece of 90s cinema, not in the way that Boyz N The Hood was, but in the way that this is where we were with thrillers back then. Neve Campbell was hot off of the Scream series. Denise Richards was hot off of Starship Troopers. I've been waiting for Wild Things to come out on standard edition from Arrow for a long time, and then it finally did. Then I missed the last Barnes & Noble sale, so I promised myself I wouldn't miss it again. But I'm glad I did, and I got into my local Barnes & Noble and got this because I also got this really rad Arrow tote bag from Barnes & Noble when you make any Arrow purchase. I think it's 2, but I got it with 1. So glad I was able to do that too. The Arrow sale at Barnes & Noble is online and in-store, and it goes until September 29th, 2024. So anything you're thinking about, get in there and get. I just had to get Wild Things. That's all I went in for. Next up, I have a 90s action film from Warner Brothers that is teetering on the brink of out of printness. I don't know what's going on with it. You know, right now it's actually pretty cheap, but if you have any hesitation, I would say grab it, and that is Executive Decision on Blu-ray. So, there's a couple things about this one. There is some censorship issues with this, so this one here is actually edited. The theatrical and DVD releases of this one have a scene in it where a man looks at a book before he goes and does something terrible to a plane. That's all I'm going to really say because I don't know what YouTube will allow me to say anymore. If you're curious though about the censorship, I would look it up and see for yourself if that's something that bothers you. But the Blu-ray does not have that shot or that scene. I really can't recall. It's been so long since I've seen it. So Executive Decision is basically a 90s action thriller, standard fare, and it stars Kurt Russell and Steven Seagal and Halle Berry, among others. And you know, I remember seeing this on TV and seeing this back in the day, and I really can't remember too much about it, except I really enjoyed it. So being that it was something I really liked, I decided to go look for this, and of course found out that, you know, the Blu-ray was censored, and I didn't let that bother me because I thought, you know, hey, the whole movie could be censored because basically, you know, look at its, you know, plot. Plus all the Warner Brothers movies going in and out of print back and forth, you never really know what's what. So I definitely was in the market to grab this, even though I haven't seen it in a long time, but I do remember liking it. So if you're into 90s action films and you want something that you might not be able to get in a few months, check out Executive Decision. You can't go wrong with Kurt Russell. I mean, it's Kurt Russell. So in the exact same trip that I went and found Executive Decision in at Rasputin Music and DVDs, I actually came across another Kurt Russell film that I hadn't seen in a long time and thought I might as well pick that up because this one might be going out of print soon too, and that is Dark Blue. So Dark Blue is something I haven't seen in a very long time, and it's something I don't really remember a whole lot about other than I believe it was set in the days leading up to the LA riots, and Kurt Russell plays an anti-hero, a corrupt cop, if you will, who leans on things like intimidation and violence. We all know those stories. It's actually from the writer of Training Day, so you know, you kind of already know that you're getting that realism and you're that world of, you know, corrupt cops and criminals, et cetera, et cetera. So I can't say a whole lot about this other than I can't wait to check it out because it's been so long. But if you want Kurt Russell in an anti-hero villain role and you're tired of watching Death Proof, I say give this a shot. This might be going out of print or is out of print. I know Olive Films actually has an edition out. This is the MGM Blu-ray, but I think this is definitely something worth checking out.
An elite unit in the LAPD.
SIS doesn't have a jail, so if you knock one down, make sure he stays down.
A loyal brotherhood.
I was raised up to be a gunfighter by a family of gunfighters.
With a tradition of doing anything to get the job done.
Listen, I have a mission for you.
What? I ain't got a gun!
Yeah, you do. How about that?
Woo! I don't even know how I'm going to talk about this one. This is something that I remember seeing on TV a long, long time ago, and then I forgot about it, and then ended up finding out that it was on DVD, and then only now was able to get a DVD of it just because I don't know. Soul Man, starring C. Thomas Howell from 1986. So Soul Man is about a young kid played by C. Thomas Howell who wants to go to college and he can't afford it. He's broke. He finds out there's a scholarship that will help him pay all of his tuition. Only problem is he's white and it's a black college. Roll clip.
Total for 3 years of law school.
Wait a second, look at this. Full tuition for most qualified applicant.
Most qualified black applicant. $53,979.
Congratulations, Mr. Watson.
Thank you, sir. I'll do my best.
The 80s, man. It's the Cosby decade.
For Mark Watson, all it took was a little soul.
So yeah, that's Soul Man. I still don't know how I was able to get a copy of this so easily, but basically, holy God. Like the 80s, man. Oh no.
White fat ass slut. What you looking at?
So he does that and gets into college, and it's basically one of those standard films where, you know, you have a few laughs, things happen, and then he eventually gets outed and, you know, probably has that whole speech of, you know, I'm sorry, I only did it for you or did it for this, or, you know, things like that. I haven't even seen this in years. I mostly just got it because it seemed like something you wouldn't or shouldn't be able to get. I mean, I feel a little guilty even owning it, but at the same time, you know, it was the 80s, it's hilarity, it's of its time. Anchor Bay put out this DVD, and Then there was another company, I can't remember the name, they put out another DVD, and that looks a lot worse. So if by chance you are looking into picking this up, I would go with the Anchor Bay. I did an A/B comparison, and yeah, Anchor Bay DVD wins out hands down. There's also a Japanese Blu-ray if you really need to have this in Blu-ray. I thought DVD was fine enough. So can I recommend Soul Man? But did I buy Soul Man? Yeah, I bought Soul Man. Comment below. So this has been Red Eye Reviews, signing off, probably forever, because channel cancel. Bye.
Cancel.
I do want to throw in here that I went to Spirit Halloween today, and while I didn't really get anything of any merit, I ended up coming across this really cool little backpack from Halloween. Yeah, it's The Curse of Michael Myers Part 6, but it's a little backpack. It's got a little keychain on it. Little backpack. Oh. Yeah. But, you know, little backpack. Put your weed in it. That's probably what's going to go in this one. That was it for my pickups for the month of August. What did you think? Let me know in the comments below. Next month, we will be talking about a 4K action extravaganza from Chuck Norris and Vinegar Syndrome, and a 4K from Steven Soderbergh, an action film that's out of print in 4K, but not on Blu-ray. Go figure. Don't forget to like the video, comment below, share and subscribe. Please don't cancel me for owning Soul Man, and keep those eyes red, baby. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Keep them goddamn babies off the street.
Sundance.
To the mountains, gain a further dancing in the street. The baby.
Reese's Pieces.
Next up.
It's done.